Hello my gorgeous loves out there and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another comparison swatch video with some indie products that have come into my life and just show you a bunch of goodies. I got things from like Glaminatrix, Beaute Bar, Unearthly, Nomad Cosmetics, and various brands. So we're going to go over all of those things in today's video. But before we get into everything, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Bree. I'm a crazy lover of all things beauty. I like to post a lot of fun, colorful makeup content. I like to do a lot on indie makeup. So if that is what you're into, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. But with that being said, let's get into this video. So my loves, I am going to try to be quick because I think this is going to be a long one because I have a lot of products that I will be swatching and doing comparisons with. I have some things that have come into the mail, so I want to show you guys everything and let you know if you already have things that look really similar to these things, if you could pass on it or whether you need it in your life or not. I just try to have these videos so it can help you out and being more mindful and making good purchases. So I do have the 4 new mini palettes from Glaminatrix, as well as 2 of their new blush duos that they came out with. I'm excited because they seem really pretty. I also got the Unearthly Cosmetics Just A Taste palette they came out with at the end of last year. The new Nomad Cosmetics, I think it's Chamonix, Apres-Ski. I'm not really good with French, but we're going to be checking that one out. I also picked up the Light Scatters collection from Clionah. This is a collab with Bad to the Brow. I picked up the entire collection, so there's like some nail polishes, brushes. I also have a MBA Cosmetics palette, the Cursed Moon. I have not tried this brand before, so I'm very excited to see what they're all about. I also ended up getting the Klarity Rain palette from Klarity Cosmetics. I did mention I passed on purchasing this palette last year, but then they had a like 50% off discount, so I ended up getting it because it was such a good deal and I just kept thinking about this palette, so I'm excited to try them as well because they're a new brand to me. And I ended up caving and getting the Secret Garden palette from Beaute Bar. But before we do jump into this like haul comparison swatch video, I did want to mention I did film this look that you're seeing. I'm not sure if the video of me putting this together will come up before this video, but I did a palette bingo of shame with 3 palettes that I did not touch last year that I'm finally, going to use on camera. It's the Gourmande palette from Gourmande Girls, as well as their El Camino palette and their Paradise Cold palette. These 2 were a collab with Ladybug Glow, but I used 2 shades from each palette to create this look. So if you want to see how I put it together, check out that video. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that. So I think we should now dive into all the products. So we are going to get into the Glaminatrix products first. I picked up their new cream blush duals. They go for $23 each. Now they have 3 shade options. I just picked up 2, but there is a berry one. And if you wanted to get all 3 together like in a bundle, it was $58. I actually got these on a discount because they were running a really good sale. So that's why I ended up picking up stuff from them. But this one is Think Pink, which is like a bubblegum pink. It has a cream side and a powder side. It says that you can use like the powder first and go over with the cream to get like a dewy finish, or do the flip to get more of like a set matte finish. And then the other option that I picked up was the Muted Mocha one, which I love, a more brownie nudie kind of blush. This looks like it could also work as a bronzer too, but there's the cream side, and then the powder part looks like it has like sheen to it. It's not like a fully matte powder. And same thing, you can layer the cream over the powder for that dewy finish, or go over with the powder on the cream to have more of a set, like matte finish. But this one's going to have a sheen. So now let's get into the mini palettes that they just came out with. These go for $36 each, or they had an option to get them in like a bundle for $129. These are mini kind of monochromatic palettes. So we'll start off with the Elegance Eyes one. I love the packaging on all of them. It's very elevated, the stitch work, the like faux leather cover. It's so pretty. And in this one, it's a nudie palette. And I think it looks really pretty. This one, like I said, is called the Elegant Eyes. And this has 3 like sparkly shimmers and then 3 velvety mattes. And they say that the mattes in here is a new matte formula. So we're going to see what that is all about. And then there's this one right here, which this is called the Entrancing Eyes. This one is more of like a berry monochromatic palette. And then inside there is the same kind of setup. So there are 3 sparkly shimmers. Some look like they might have like a shift to them. And then there's 3 velvety mattes, which is also the new matte formula. I think all of them have the new matte formula in it. Then there's the Elevated Eyes, which this one is going to be blue. All the color on the outside of the packaging coordinate with what you're going to get inside. And then here it is. This is really pretty. Same thing, 3 mattes, 3 shimmers. And I love the colors of this. Just their shimmers look so intense in all of these palettes. And then the last one is the Exquisite Eyes palette. And it's going to be a greeny one. Look at these shades. Oh, it makes my heart melt. So same thing, 3 mattes, 3 sparkly shimmers. And they just look exquisite. So those are the 4 new minis, the 2 blush duos that I picked up. So I think we should start swatching. So I'll start off by swatching the blushes. So we'll start off with Think Pink. So I want to see what this feels like. Ooh, it's very balmy and very creamy. And then the powder, ooh, that feels very smooth and velvety. This is what it looks like on my finger. Oh yeah, so it's very balmy. It looks like it's a little bit more on the sheer side. Like it's going to be more on the buildable end, which is totally fine. And then here is the matte. Wow, this powder is very soft. I do like this color. It's really pretty. And then the Muted Mocha. So this one has this beautiful creamy. See, feels the same, very balmy and creamy. And then the powder feels very silky. And you see how it has like a sheen. So there is that one. Yeah, these are definitely ones you have to build from what I can see. This one's looking a little bit more sheer than I expected. And then here's the powder. But it's going to make a beautiful nudie blush, like a bronzer kind of effect. So we'll start off with the little mini nude one. This is going to be so much easier to swatch. So let's start off with the top row. So we have Elegant, Cultivated, and Sumptuous. And there are those 3 shades on the finger. Ooh, they look so pretty and intense and sparkly. And there's those swatched out. Wow, these are very pretty, like nudie sparkly shades. And now let's swatch the 3 mattes in here. So Ornate, we have Graceful and Divine. And this is what they look like. They do feel very like soft and velvety. I'm gonna swatch that right here. So it's like a beige, very warm brown, and then a nice brown. Let me build the brown up a little bit more. I feel like it needs one more go. So maybe it's going to be more of a buildable formula. But this is a nice little completed nudie palette. Now let's move on to the berry palette. So we'll start off with the shimmer. So we have Entrancing, Bewitch, and Captivate. This is what it looks like on the finger. Okay. So this one is like a pinky silver. And there is this one. Ooh. There's some kind of like champagne-iness to it. And some, maybe even blue almost. And then here is this beautiful, like muted kind of purple sparkly shade. And then the last row we have is Gorgeous, Splendid, and Enticing. And there's those 3 shades. So we have a nice light, like mauve. It's almost not showing up. Let me swatch one more time in that shade. It's like kind of meshing a lot into my skin. So it's not really showing up, but that's okay. Then there's this beautiful berry, and then this like kind of brownie plum shade. add some depth. Ooh, that looks really pretty as well. So let's get into the greens. I'm so excited for this one. So we have Exquisite, Lovely, and Superb. That's how it looks on the finger. And then we'll swatch it right here. They're just so smooth, but so sparkly. And then that one looks like it's probably a dual chrome. Ooh, yes, very pretty. And then let's get into the matte. We have this fun green. That's ostentatious, magnificent, and then alluring. And they just feel nice and soft as well. This is a fun, like, grungy, limey green. Then we have this kind of forest green, and then this, like, deeper one. So those are all the shades. And last but not least, we've got the blues. So we've got Elevated, Sublime, and Grand. And there's how that looks. Ooh. This metal one looks like a dual chrome. So there's this like silvery one. This beautiful like dual chrome that looks like it goes from blue to like pink. And then this more deeper blue. And there's those. And then let's get into the very last row of mattes here. We have Elated, Glistening, and Striking. And there's those shades right there. Beautiful blues. So this one looks, oh wow, this is coming off very pigmented right from the start. And then there's that mid-tone shade and then the deepening shade. Okay, there we go for the blues. So now we're going to get into some comparisons. I actually want to compare the blushes to the Patrick Ta blush palette that I have. This is from holidays a while ago, but I just want to see how this pink one and this one maybe goes with this one, and just how the formula is from one another. So I'm gonna just feel it. So here, this one, see, this one doesn't feel as creamy as melty. The powders feel the same. So I'm just gonna put this here, and then I'll compare it next to this one. You see how much more melty that is? I was just curious. I mean, they have a very, very similar vibe to them. Oh yeah, I mean, if you had this palette, you probably don't need this pink one or a blush duo similar. This one just feels like a little bit more pigmented with the cream versus this cream. And this one is not as melty. And then I wanted to compare to this one. This one's probably not going to be the same because this one is more like berryish, but I just want to see. This one is definitely more on the sheer side, and this one has a glow. I don't think they're gonna be similar, but let me just watch it. Yeah, this one just feels a little bit more like a cream than a balm. Oh yeah, that's definitely more like a reddish berry, but same kind of concept with it being more of like a muted blush. This one just has more red to it, and this one is definitely more warm, and this one has a glowy powder, and this powder is more like a satin. So let's start off with the nudie palette. So I wanted to just compare it to like my smaller ones and then one Glaminatrix. So I have this one from Kaleidos. This is the Cyber Bronze. I don't think they make this one anymore, but I figured I'd compare it. I mean, it's a 6-pan palette, and I have it right here on my hand. So on this side is the Glaminatrix, on this side is the Kaleidos. So I mean, like, they have both a silvery and like these two shades. This one doesn't have like that light shade, and this one has like a red in it instead. And then I also have the Nabla Platinum palette. This one's also a 6-pan palette, and I compared it right here on my hand. So on this side is Glaminatrix, this side is Nabla. So they both have a silver, kind of like a browny metallic, and then the two metallics here. So I compared these two with their undertones. This one's more orange. This one doesn't have a light shade either, a light matte. The browns are somewhat similar. I feel like this one is a little bit more deeper, a little bit more cool toned. And then the shimmers, I mean, there's a similarity, but this one's definitely more sparkly. And then this one and this one, I mean, are pretty close. They're slightly different silvers though. The last one I thought to compare to is the Glaminatrix Barely Basic, because this one has a lot of the shades that are in the like mini palettes. Geez, there's cat hair in here, and I compared it over here. So here it is. I feel like if you already have this palette, you have a lot of the shades that are going to be in the mini palette. So this one is the Elegant Eyes, and then the Barely Basic one. But you see the mattes match up. I feel like the lighter matte in the Barely Basic one is more pink. And the shimmers are like very similar formulas. They're not per se exact, but like this one right here has a green shift. It's not like a true silver. But just so you can see, in case you're wondering how these compare to their Barely Basic palette. And now let's do some comparisons with the Entrancing Eyes palette. So I thought of the Glaminatrix Rich Romantic one because it has the berry shades in it, but they're quite different, as you can see. I did compare them here. So you see this side is the Rich Romantic, this is the Entrancing Eyes. This one has different mattes, so the brownie shade is definitely more brown, and then I try to compare these two shades, but this one leans more red and that one leans more like purpley fuchsia-ish, and then the two lighter shades are very different. This one's way lighter and a beige, and then the shimmers are kind of similar but not exact, but I mean, it has the vibe. Yeah. Then I did do comparisons with like the Gothic palette right here from Cosmic Beauty. This is their kind of monochromatic palette, and I compared them right here. So the Cosmic Beauty on this side, Glaminatrix on this side, and there's definitely differences between the two, as you can see. So I compared these two, but they're definitely different, more plum. This is more reddish. I tried to compare these two. This is more reddish. This is more of like a pinky purple. And then these two are different. This one leans more warm, and this one has more of like a lavender undertone to it. And then the shimmers are totally different formulas. And then I compared it to the Berries palette, which is from by Beauty Bay. I have the 16 color option. They had like, you know, like a smaller one and an even bigger one. And I try to compare these as well, and I have it right here on my wrist. So this is by Beauty Bay. This is the Glaminatrix one. And similar-ish vibe, but nothing exactly the same. You see, like this one leans more reddish and pinkish, and they're just not the same. And then the last one I thought of is the Kaleidos Astro Pink palette. And this one is like a mini palette. I don't know if they sell this one anymore. There is some similarity. So I have the Kaleidos on this side, the Glaminatrix one on this side. So these like mattes are kind of close. Like this one matches up pretty well. Now this one has a black matte with sparkle. This one has a deep plum. But these lighter tones were very similar. This pink one had some similarities to this one, but this one has a blue metallic and an extra matte. So there's only two metallics in this one. Now let's do the comparisons with the Elevated Eyes palette. So the first thing I thought of was the Midnight palette from by Beauty Bay. This has purples in it as well, but I thought about the blues in here, and I did swatch them out on my hand right here just to see. The blues are just somewhat different, like undertones. This one's a lot lighter, more pastel. By the way, this is by Beauty Bay and Glaminatrix. And then like the shimmers are different formulas. These ones are more smooth and these ones are definitely more sparkly. Then I thought about the bubblegum palette from BBB Cosmetics. This is their monochromatic palette and I swatched those ones up together. Also just different undertones on the blues. So I try to compare. This one's a lot lighter. These deeper ones match up the most. This kind of has similar vibes, but the shimmers too are very different in the bubblegum palette. And I also thought of the Realm of Fairies palette from Beaute Bar, since this just came out and it's a very monochromatic palette. But this one, the blues too also have very different undertones. They're more grayish. These are the only two I can see really match up. I didn't swatch them, but there's nothing that matches up with this. The shimmers, maybe this one and this one kind of ish, but these ones are more like shifty shades and there's differences. They're not exactly matching up. So I just wanted to show you this because since this also came out and it's brand new and they're both blue, like monochromatic kind of palettes. Now let's do the last palette from Glaminatrix, the Exquisite palettes. The ones that I did think had a lot of similarities was this one from Lethal, their Avatar collection. This is the Earth palette, and I did compare these two. So I have the Avatar collection on this side and then the Glaminatrix one. But I mean, you see in the mattes and even in the shimmers, you could probably create very similar eye looks with either palette. And then the Glamlight Dirty Martini palette. Another one, this one has a good amount of similarities. I swatched them right here. So this is Glamlight, this is the Glaminatrix one. Pretty good. They're pretty close, especially with the mattes. Also, you could create quite similar looks. Now we're going to get into the Cursed Moon palette from MBA Cosmetics. This is a new brand to me, so I'm so excited to finally be trying them out. But this one goes for $46, but this one is so pretty. I have to show you guys the inside. Look at that. This is a 9-pan palette. It's a more monochromatic color story as well with the blues. This one has 4 mattes in it, and then there are 5 shimmers, and the shimmers consist of either multichromes or dual chromes. So they just look really stunning. So I'm going to swatch it like the rose down this way. So this eerie shade, they look so pretty in the pan. It's more of a flaky shade. Here is a black matte that looks like it has sparkle in it, and then a beautiful blue metallic. So these shimmers are definitely more on the flaky side. Oh, and very like creamy. Look at that. This one is so shifty. Then here's that matte black. This one feels a little bit on the drier side and probably more of a buildable formula, and it's a little bit more hard pressed in the pan. And then there's this beautiful blue right here. Oh, that is so sparkly. Definitely more flaky. This one's not as creamy as this metallic. So now let's get into the middle row. I have Jinxed, Inferno, and then there's this Ritual shade. This too feels a little bit on the drier side for this blue matte here. This is how it looks on the finger. This light one is like super pigmented. At least it looks like. Oh, and it swatches nicely. Then there's this beautiful other metallic. That is gorgeous. And then there's this blue, which is also swatching lighter than what it looks like in the pan. Also more buildable kind of formula. And then let's get to the very, very last row. So we have Beshrewd, the Tortured shade, and then this Heroine shade. Ooh, that one looks like maybe it's a multichrome. This matte also seems a little bit softer, not as dry as the other like deeper mattes right here. So there's this like kind of golden antique gold shade. This blue right here. Let me build that one up a little bit. Maybe it's like more teal, and then this shade right here that seems to be either a dual chrome or a multi-chrome. But look at these shades. Wow, this is a really pretty monochromatic palette, but I love the options of blues, and then it has one kind of antique gold. And this one right here, it's so shifty. This is really pretty. So now let's get into the comparison. So I do want to first show you guys this next to the Glaminatrix Elevated Eyes. I don't know why I didn't compare them when I was doing the comparisons with this one, but I just want you guys to see these are also very different with the undertones. What the blues are different. These are definitely more like grayish undertones to them, and then like the deepest shade is a deep blue, that's a black, and then it doesn't have like that grayish light shade. I think the shimmers would probably match up, like this one and this one. There's like a similar vibe. Then I wanted to show you guys this next to the Realm of Fairies palette from Beaute Bar. So there is some similarities to this, slightly different undertones. I feel like there's more of like a lavenderness to the Beaute Bar one, but I did match them up. So like these grayish mattes matched, like this is Beaute Bar, this is MBA. They are similar, these ones. They both have a matte black with sparkle. These are two different blues. The shimmers didn't match up as much, just like they're slightly different with like the shifts and the colors, but the formula seems like similar in terms of like this one has flaky metallics and this one does too. This one doesn't have that gold shade. And then I thought of the Nabla Cutie palette, the midnight one. This one has like that kind of goldish tone to it, so I have it right here. So Nabla's on this side, MBA is on this side. So the metallics are different in the Nabla one, but it has like the kind of antique gold. These ones were similar, like the light blues. These blue metallics are different. These are kind of similar though, these two metallics. These are different, like these lighter shades. And then these are like different undertones as well. But the vibe with just like having an antique goldy shade was kind of cool. Like I didn't expect that. And then like these two are the ones that I think matched up the most. I also thought of the Christmas Eve palette from Uden's Eye, because this one has a combination of blues with like antique like gold shade, and I did compare them to each other. So here is the Uden's Eye and then the MBA side, but just different kind of antique gold. This blue kind of matches up this blue too, as well as this one, but these are different. And this one just has like a very strong kind of pinky orange shift to it. But I mean, some of them matched up. So let's get into this palette now. This is from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is the Just a Taste palette. This one is on a pre-order. It goes for $74. And there was other things within this collection, like a lip oil and a highlighter. I just went with the palette on this one. But I love the vampire vibes. And I mean, this is giving me like Castlevania vibes if you ever played that game. But let me show you guys what it looks like inside. So look at this color story. It's definitely more muted, a little bit grunge. It's giving fall too. I love this combination of colors that's in here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mattes. The rest are shimmers. And it looks like there are like some shifty shimmers in here. And I'm sure there might be like some dual chromes and multichromes in here. Usually there's a combination with their shimmers. So let's get into the swatches. I'll go down this way. I think I'm going to try to fit like 6 each time. So we'll start off with Nocturnal Kiss. We have Mossy Grave and Cloaked Desire. My hands have so much shimmer on it. I've been swatching a lot of things today, but there's those. I have shimmer all over my arms too. I tried to get everything off, but we'll start off. This is like a plummy shade. There's like something kind of brown to it. Then there's this Mossy Grave. And it's gold. It looks like maybe there's some like bronze to it as well, and green. And then this like beautiful gray. Wow, that was really pigmented. Then there's Dark Seduction. Ooh, that one's really creamy. Then there's Wicked Woods and Moonlit Veil. So there's those 3. Look at that. It's a very smooth plum. And then there's this Wicked Woods, a beautiful like muted sage shade, and then this Moonlight Veil. And then we're going to go into Veins of Velvet, Vesper Glow, and Forbidden Embrace. And there's that. So this is kind of like a reddish muted shade, matte, beautiful pigmented matte. And then there's this beautiful like more antique gold shimmer, and then this very like purplish grayish shade. And then we'll get on to the next row. We have Crimson Thirst, red metallic. We have Bare Bite, it's like a warm beige. And then Haunted Heart. Ooh, this one has a little bit more of a texture feel. Like I can really feel the sparkles in that. And then there's this red metallic, very smooth. There is this very warm yellow leaning beige, super pigmented. And then this beautiful shade that has, yeah, this one has tons of like little sparkles in it and like a bluish shift to it. So I think I'm just going to flip to the under part of my arm and we'll go into Bite Me. This is a very bright kind of vivid red, Mortal Dust, and Eternal Slumber. So there's that. Look at how fun that is. It's like a bright kind of like tomato red. Very pigmented. That one was really smooth. And there's like this pinky shifty one. And then there is this like beautiful purple. And then we'll get into the very last shade. So we have this kind of bronzy orangish shade, more Immortal Flame. Then there's Vampire Lair and Fanged Charm, purple metallic. Ooh, these are nice. Look at this one. It's very bright and very smooth. So yeah, there's like a orangey copper, this orangey kind of brown, and then this beautiful purple metallic. So the last row there. These are like really easy to swatch, very beautiful and pigmented. So let me get all the swatches together so I can show you them all down my arm. So here is the swatches. Aren't these really beautiful? Muted tones, we got cool tones, warm tones, but you can do a lot of different looks with this color story, from like a plummy to a red look. You can lean into these warm orangish tones, into the red. You have light shades, mid-tones, just so many different options, and everything swatched really beautiful. And it's nice to just see the whole color story together. So that's all the swatches. I think we should just like dive into the comparisons now. We'll start off with this one, the Amore y Mariposa palette from Melt. I was looking at this, I was like, wow, this is very similar. I did do comparison swatches, which I believe is right here. So on this side is Melt, and then on the other side is the Unearthly palette. I feel like the brightness needs to turn up. Okay, so I think that looks better. So you see how they have a lot of similarities in the mattes for sure. Not so much in the metallics, but I mean, it's a very similar kind of like color story with having the purples, the orangey tones, some greens. The greens are different too from the greens that are in here, which these ones lean more grayish. But I just wanted to show you that. I do think you could probably create some similar looks. Now the metallics in here are definitely more foiled and sparkly and shifty than the ones that are in the Melt palette. And then I thought I'd show you what it looks like next to their other kind of vampire palette they had from Unearthly. This was the Warms My Blood palette. This came from like Halloween's ago. Like it's been a while, but this one has their older formula. This one definitely has like a better formula overall. So I did swatch them together. So here is the Warms My Blood and then the Just a Taste. So they both have like the reds, the purples, a little bit of warm kind of orangish tones. And then the metallics kind of vibe too a bit. And then it has like the gray, right? I can see a lot of things that match up, but this one doesn't have the greenish tones that this one has. So then the next palette I also thought of was the Calavera palette from Gourmande Girl. So I did do comparisons. So Unearthly on this side, Gourmande Girls on this side. This is where it matched up, mainly in the mattes. So the reds, we got the grays, some purple, the orangey tones. The greens are similar-ish, but the shimmers not so much. This one is more matte heavy, but like the purples and the idea with the reds. This one also has like addition of blues and some like neon-y and pastel pops. The last one I thought to show you is next to the Wicked Widow Beauty Tales of Terror palette. This one doesn't have reds in it, but the greens in here are pretty similar. And then the orange tones right here. And then we got some purple. So I think that kind of seems very similar. Now the shimmers are different. Some of the shimmers might be somewhat similar, but I think overall they're more different than they are alike. But also like a, you know, Halloween haunted, spooky kind of themed palette. So those are the comparisons that I thought to show you guys, and palettes I thought were similar within my collection. So I think we can now move on to the next palette. Now we're going to get into the Secret Garden palette from Beaute Bar. I finally picked this up. I've been wanting it for a while now. So I'm just going to show you guys the beautiful packaging. This one goes for $78. It looks like it's available on their website as of right now when I'm filming this. And inside this one, it has a mirror, and then look at these beautiful shades. Beaute Bar has one of my favorite formulas, both in metallics and mattes. And they just do all these different like textures with their shimmers. But in here it says there are 8 specialty multichromes, 2 specialty holochromes, and 15 buttery mattes in our best-selling formula. This is also with magnetic pans, so you can move around the shades or switch them out with their other palettes. So how I'm going to swatch this is I'm going to do it by rows this way and keep it in like a little monochromatic way, because that's how the palette is set up. So we'll start off with the top row. So we have Vintage, Wander, and Gazebo. That's what they look like on the finger. Nice little nudie shade. So we have this very light beige. Then there is this light brown, and then there's this beautiful metallic. I think this is one of the holochromes, so I can see the little like different multicolor shimmers in it. That is really beautiful. And then the last 2 shades is Hidden Dust and Mahogany, and there's those 2. I'll just add it right there. So this is a, oh, I swatched the darker one first for some reason, and then like this beautiful kind of mid-tone brown, and this darker brown right here. There's like a little bit of a reddishness to that brown, but this is the first row. Very beautiful. And then we'll go into this pink row. So we have what is called Sun Shower. I had a hard time reading that. Serenity, Peony. And there's those 2 on the finger. Ooh, beautiful little like metallic pinks. Oh, look at that. This is so foiled. It is like an icy pink. And then there's this one right here, which looks like there might be a shift to this one. Wow. And then this beautiful pink. And then we'll get to these last 2. So it's Damask, and Flora. And there's those 2. They're kind of like hot pink shades. And put that here. So this one is a little deeper. And then this one, it's so creamy and very flaky. It's a beautiful kind of hot pink. I think there might be some like orange to that too. Let's get into the next row. This one has some greens and some pinks in it. More like berries. So we have this Water Lily, Butterfly, and Daydream. I can see why this was some people's favorites. It's such a like fun pastel green. Then we have Butterfly, which is a goldeny shade. Maybe there's like a green shift to that one, and then this like kind of flaky pink one that looks like it has blue to it. And then the last two shades, which is Rose and Strawberry. And there's those two on the finger. So we've got Rose, nice little pink, and then this one is a nice little kind of deeper berry kind of color. And that is that third row. Now we'll move on to this green rose. So we have Mist, Oasis, and is it Thistle? That one feels a little on the drier side. There's those three shades. There's that green. And oh, this is like a minty, sparkly, metallic. Maybe there's like a little bit of a goldness to it. And then this green. This one just feels a little bit more dry than the other ones. Maybe it's going to be more of like a buildable formula on that matte. The last two, we got Ivy, and I think that says Deserted. That one's probably like a multi-chrome. Oh yes, it's a gold and probably green to it, bronze. That's pretty. So there's that green one, and then there's this beautiful, smooth but very creamy bronze to green and like an antique gold. Oh, that's a beautiful shade. It definitely one of those ones that have like a darker base. So we'll get into the very last row. So we have Enchanted. I think this one says Secrecy. I'm having a hard time reading like the cursive. And then Lock and Key. So there's those. Oh, that's definitely a holochrome. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. And this is kind of like a teal, a nice green. I can't wait. Oh, that. Oh my gosh. And it definitely has like a shift too. Maybe like teal to like blue, purple. And then that last little green right there. Let me try to build that one up. There we go. And then let's do the very last two. That one feels like it's a multi-chrome. And then Escape. So there's those two. Yeah, this one looks like it's probably green to blue. If you can see that. So we have this like grayish kind of green. And then there's that beautiful, smooth, creamy multi-chrome. And that one, yeah, it's definitely one of those darker base multi-chromes. I don't know if the blue is picking up, but I can see it in person. But that is the very last row. So let me get all the swatches together and then we can look at them all swatched out. Okay, so here are all the shades swatched out together. I swatched them the same way I did the swatches on top of my hand. And I tried hard to fit them all on my arm together. But this is such a beautiful color story. You know, you got the nudie shades, pinks, you got the greens, different types of greens, and versions of pink, midtones, lighter shades, holochromes. Like, I just love that they give you so many different formulas in a palette, and you can just work with so many different things. And I love it. And I like that there's not too much like shades I think look too similar or like anything really repetitive. You just have a lot of nice options in the green, pink, and brown scale. So that was all the swatches together. Now we can get into the comparisons. I did see this one from NZ Rain, the Flourish. I feel like this is kind of like a mini version of this one. Now it does have like a little bit more orangey, little yellowy tones, but I felt like it just seemed like it's the little sister to this one, with the similar, like with the pinks and greens. And I did swatch them on my hand right here. So the NZ Rain is on this side, the Beaute Bar is on that side, just to see what I could match up. And they have similarities, not exactly the same. I feel like the mattes match up more than anything, but the shimmers are, you know, a bit different. But the one that I had that had the most similarities was this one, the Culture palette from Juvia's Place. I was like, oh, oh, okay, I found a palette with greens and pinks. And I swatched them out on my arm right here. So Juvia's Place and Beaute Bar. And the mattes, like the lighter mattes, kind of match up. Now the browns that are in the Juvia's Place are more orange leaning. And then there's like similar in the deep green. And then the Beaute Bar has this light pastel green. And then there's kind of like a light green shimmer instead in the Culture palette. And then I swatched up the shimmers. But these shimmers are definitely more intense. There's a pressed glitter in here. And then the other metallics are more satin-like compared to these ones. And this one doesn't really have like the multi-chrome stuff going on in it or the holochromes. But I mean, overall, I think you could create very similar looks. I also thought of the Kaleidos one. I didn't do a swatch, but I felt like this kind of was like a mini version. I remember like thinking, wow, pinks and greens. That is such a unique concept when this palette came out. Now these are more yellow grungy greens, and then there's like pinks, but it also has like the minty shades like it has right here. I didn't swatch them up, but I figured like I would just show you because this I did think of when I saw the greens and pinks. So we're going to get into this Nomad palette now. This is the Chamonix Apres-Ski palette. I did look up how to say these two words. Hopefully I said that right. But this is inspired by the Apres-Ski in the alpine village of Chamonix. And this one is $49 and it looks like it is available on their website. I really like the packaging and the artwork on this one. And then inside, you will see there is a mirror, and then here are all the shades. So it's kind of monochromatic-ish, like it has a pink, green, and then like the blues. I think the colors in here are really pretty. There's like little imprints in all of the different shades here. And on their description, it says that this has 9 wintry mattes, 7 twinkly shimmers, and 2 magical dual chromes in here. So there are some mixed textures, and it does say on their site that they also are going to be supporting a cause. They always do that with their releases, and the cause they'll be supporting is the Inspire Mont Blanc Association that works for better air quality and the protection of the environment in the Mont Blanc region. So I think that's very amazing, but this is basically, you know, their winter palette release. So we're gonna get into the swatches now. I'm gonna do 6 on my hands just to be more efficient with the swatches. I'll start off with the pink side. I'm gonna try my best to pronounce these French words, but we have Les Alpes, Last Run, and I think it was like Vin Shoot is what I looked up on how to pronounce. So there's those 3 shades. Very pretty. So we'll start off with these out. This one has a very transparent base. It's like an iridescent with a blue shift. Then there's this like light pinky one that also seems to have more of a sheer base. And then the last one, which has definitely more pigment to it. It's like a fuchsia kind of shade. Now we'll get into this all matte row. So we have Haute Savoy, Off Piste, and Raclette. And here is those 3 mattes. These are kind of similar right here. One's just a little bit more pinky, but there is that very light beige, this very light pink. They're very pigmented though. And then this Haute Savoy, I swatched them out of order, but those are the pinky tones in here. They're very pretty. Go on to Chamonix. I'm assuming it's an iridescent with a green shift. There's Apres, and then Aperitif, which is a beautiful like emerald green. So there's those 3, and we'll put that here. Oh yeah, this one also has a sheer base, but yeah, there's definitely like a green shift. I feel like there's a little bit of a goldiness to it as well. Then there is Apres, which is kind of like a minty shade, also quite sheer on the base. And then there is this beautiful, deeper pigmented emerald shimmer. We're going to get into the mattes now. We have Mont Blanc, Ski, and Fondue. And those 3. And there's that green. Then we have like this, well, it's lighter than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a mid-tone green. And then we have this like really light kind of minty pastel. So that is the green section. And then I'm just going to flip over and do the blue here. So we have, I think it was like Aggie Dumidi. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. And then we have Mountain Chalet and Apres-Ski. I have never been to France. I would love to go there one day. And so there is that one. There's like a bluishness to it, like a silverish kind of blue. Let me build this one up. There's that blue. This one seems definitely more sheer too, like to the base. And then this like deeper, more pigmented blue shimmer. I'm sorry, I think I was out of frame for a second there. But there's those blues, and then we'll do the last row. There is it Valet Blanche? Probably not. La Terrace? La Terrace? And Last Call. And those are those three mattes. So this one is like a very cool toned brown, more like a plum actually. And there's this blue, and then we have another like pastel-y shade, which is like a light blue. So there's the blue row. I do like the combination, and then they did include like a deepening shade, but that's really pretty. So I'm going to swatch them all together, and then we can get into the comparisons. So here are all the shades swatched out together. Really beautiful color story, you know, soft tones, pastels. I do wish that the shimmers were a little bit more impactful. They're definitely on the sheerer side besides the darker ones, more smooth. But I wish they were a little bit more sparkly. But the mattes are very pigmented and swatch really nicely. And overall, I think the color story is really pretty. And I like the different tones in here. And it feels like it definitely matches like the theme a lot with like these wintry tones. So that was everything together. And then having it like monochromatic chunks help you like kind of see looks that you can create. Makes it easier to look at, more aesthetically pleasing. So I think we should now get into the comparisons. So I just wanted to show you guys really quickly what this palette looks like next to the Nomad Whistler Snow Lodge, their other kind of like ski resort inspired palette. And they do have some similarities, just in case you were wondering. Like right here, they both have like a fuchsia shade, which this one's definitely more satiny in the Whistler Snow Lodge one. Then they also have like these like minty tones, which are kind of similar, but definitely this one is more satin-like. And maybe these blues will probably be similar. Yeah, or maybe this deeper blue. Yeah. So there are some like kind of similar tones. Even these two are probably alike, maybe this and this one. But this one includes like an orangey shade and some like browns right here, and like a very kind of deep moss green and a black. And then I wanted to show you the palettes that I think have the most similarities amongst each other. So here's the Lands of Enchantment palette from NZ Rain. So it's a mix of like, you know, kind of pinky purplish shades, greens, and some blues. I did swatch them together. So on this side is NC Rain. This side is Nomad. The mattes are pretty good. The shimmers too, like up here, kind of have it, even in the blues too. But for sure, the shimmers in here are definitely more impactful in the NZ Rain one. There's holochromes, there's shifty ones in here. They have more, you know, color to the base in some of them. I think the mattes are pretty comparable between each other. And then I also thought of the Glam Light Michaela palette. This one right here, I think this was the first one. Or is it the second one? This was the second one. And this one too has like, you know, the greens, these purplish pinky tones, and then the blues. And then I did compare them. So the Glam Light one is on this side, and then the Nomad one is on the other side. There are some differences in like the greens. The purpley shades right here lean more on the purple pinky side. These lean more on that berry side and things like that. But I mean, there are some things that are similar, like some of the greens, some of the blues, and some of the shimmers. So yet again, you could probably create some similar looks between the two. Now we're going to get into the Klarity Cosmetics Klarity Rain palette. So this is one that I talked about skipping last year that I didn't end up purchasing, but I ended up getting it this year because they had a 50% off coupon for it. And I was like, you know what? I keep thinking about it. That's such a great deal. I'm going to give it a try. And I've been wanting to try this brand, but this palette for regular price goes for $69 and it's on their website in stock. So we're gonna get into this. I'm very excited to see what their whole formula is like. I don't know much about this brand, but I'll show you guys the inside. So there is a mirror, and then here are the different tones. So there's a lot of variety. One thing I do notice is these shades right here look very similar. I'm assuming they're going to swatch very close and look the same on the eyes. I wish there was more variation between those. It didn't seem like that when I saw it in pictures. But this one has 24 shades in it. There are 2 dazzling duochromes, 3 multichromes, and 18 velvety mattes, and 1 highly pigmented foiled shadow. So there's some different textures in here, but there's like crunchy tones, some purple, warm tones, a lot of beigey shades, and variation and shimmer. So it looks really pretty in person, and I'm excited. So we're gonna get to swatching this one right here. Let me cover here. I'm gonna go down the rows like this. So we have Bayou Beauty, Press Fun, and Can't Beat It. That one feels a little bit more loose, but very sparkly. That's how they look on the finger. So we have this beige right here. Sorry, I do have like sparkle lingering on my hands because I've been doing so much swatches. This one's kind of like a cool tone beige. This one seems like a lighter warm tone beige, and I'll try to build that up some more. And then there's this very sparkly shade, very sparkly nude. Wow, that's very foiled. And then the very last shade is this one, which I feel like maybe it's going to be more of like a grayish beige. Maybe. I don't know. They're all just variations of beige. I think they might translate the same at the end of the day on the eyes. And then we'll get into the next row of purpley pinky shades. So we have Klarity, right? Yeah. Cover Boy and Curtain Call. There's those 3. Ooh, these are pretty. So there's that pinky shade. Looks like there's some like blue sparkle in that one. There's this pastel. Oh no, this is more like a mid-tone. It looked lighter in the pan. And then there is this kind of more mauve-y kind of pink shimmer. Ooh, the shimmers are really pretty. The mattes seem really, really pigmented. And then the last shade we have here is like this kind of warm shade. Yeah, it's like a terracotta shade, but it's pretty as well. Let's get into this next one. So we have this Pocket Change Talk Show. Ooh, this is beautiful red. We've got Symphony, which is like a mustardy yellow. There's those shades. And then I'll swatch it right here. So this beautiful like pinky purple, and we've got this very foiled, smooth, like orangey red metallic. That one might be a multichrome, and then we have this beautiful mustard. Everything is swatching really beautifully, like wow. And then the last one we have in this row is this beautiful like iridescent green one that looks like it will be a beautiful inner corner highlight shade. Yes, that is really pretty. Love that. Then we'll get into this all matte row. So we have Denim Tears, Let the Games Begin, Sweet Duet. There's those. These are more like pastel kind of shades, but we shall see how they swatch. Yeah, they're a little deeper than pastels. There's that blue, this beautiful green, and then this, ooh, very vivid kind of neonish pastel orange. And then the very last shade is this like very mustardy brown. Ooh, yes, that is a beautiful shade. Their swatching is so nice, these mattes and the shimmers. So we have Penny, Super Fandom. This one feels on the drier side, and It Girl. And those are the shades. Ooh, this is gorgeous looking. So there's like this kind of fuchsia shade. Then there's this Fandom one. This one just feels very dry, a little bit more gritty. And then this beautiful like iridescent shade that has a gold shift to it. And then the very last shade is this one right here, which is like a warm kind of orangish brown. And that one too is very soft and velvety. Switch to this side and get to this last like all matte row. So we have Studio Sesh, we have Showtime, there is All In, and then this is what they look like. So beautiful. Purple matte. There's this other purple that's very grayish on the undertone, and then there's this very cool toned like grayish brown, and then the very last shade is Don't Wait Up, which is a black matte. And there's a lot of like kickback. I think I'm rubbing into the pans too hard, but a nice matte black. So those are the two last rows. They all swatch really nicely. So I am going to get them all swatched together and I will be right back. And here is all the swatches together. So it's very, very pretty shades. Hopefully you guys can see it all in frame here because there's so many, but there's a lot of beiges, a lot of warm tones, mustardy shades, yellows, some browns. Now the mattes in here feel very similar to the mattes from Give Me Glow. And then the shimmers here feel a little bit more loose in the pan. There's more texture to them. This one is really smooth though, but I think the options in here are really pretty. I just wish there was more variation with these beigey shades, maybe some other colors. But besides that, I think it's a beautiful overall color story. You have everything you need to do like completed looks. So I'm really happy about that. And I mean, everything's swatching nicely. I'm just going to have to see how they actually perform on the eyes. But that is all the swatches together and everything for this new palette. Excited to be trying another new brand this year. So I am now going to get into the comparisons. The one that I felt like had a good amount of matchups is the Sugar and Grunge palette from Blend Bunny. So I swatched them right up here. It's mainly in the mattes. The shimmers didn't really match up at all, but like the mattes did. Like you see the greens, like the purples, the like cool tone browns, there's a black, there's like a like warm beigey shade. So there were some things, I just think that none of the shimmers I could really see linked up with the shimmers that are in here. And then I also thought of the Sandra Rosa palette from Glaminatrix. This seems like maybe like a miniature version. It doesn't have all the shades, but I did compare some of them. And I'm surprised at how much I was able to get to kind of match a little bit. Not exact. I just wanted to show you I have Glaminatrix on this side. There's one last one I almost forgot to show you guys a comparison to. I thought of the Michaela palette from Glamlight. This one has a good amount of matchups, especially with the mattes. Not so much the actual like shimmers, but you know, like how it has the mix of like orangey tones, purples, and it has like the nudie brown tones in here. And I was like, wow, I could see this matching up. It did do pretty well. Like I'll show you guys. On this side is Clarity Rain. This side is Glamlight. So you see like the purples, even the blues, you got the orange. The greens are somewhat close, not exact. And then the shimmers, I only really could see kind of two I try to match up. But then it has like the warm orange leaning like browns. And then the yellows are different. But I just wanted to show you that. I think it's just a similar kind of like setup and color story. So now we're going to get into this collection right here. This is from Clionah. It's a collaboration with Bad to the Brow. It's called the Light Scatters collection. Now I picked up the entire collection, which is right here in front of you. It goes for $99.69 if you want everything, or you can purchase these things separately. So the palette itself goes for $64.08. The like nail polish trio right here would go for $14.23. There's also the Shine On Shimmer Shadow Enhancer. This goes for $13.52. And then there was also a brush set with 4 brushes in it for $16.37. But I decided to opt in for everything because it looked really beautiful. So first we'll start off with the brushes that you get in the set. So this is what they look like up close. It says that there is a small size domed crease brush, a small flat packing brush, a small smudging brush, and a small shader brush. They look nice and teeny, perfect, especially if you have like hooded eyes. And they feel really soft, just basic, you know, black handles. And then I'll show you guys the Shine On Shimmer Enhancer. So I haven't tried this out yet, but we'll open it up and see what it looks like. So here it is. Oh, it's clear. I'm assuming it's like a glue. Well, no, it just feels maybe like a almost like an eye primer that is sheer. So we'll see if that makes a difference. I'll test it out on camera. And then they have these 3 nail lacquers. They're like mini sizes and they're like sparkly. Looks like there's some shifts in it. And it says that LS number 1, which is this one, is a shimmering iridescent nail lacquer with a red, orange, yellow shift. Interspersed with silver and aqua sparkles. So you can do it from 1 to 3 coats. Then there is the LS number 2, which this one is a bright green linear holographic nail lacquer. Best worn with 2 to 3 coats. And then this one is LS number 3. Oh, this one looks really pretty and sparkly. And this one is a rich indigo blue nail lacquer with a jelly base and large particle shimmers that shift from peach, yellow, lime, and turquoise. So those are the different lacquers. And now for the palette. So this is the outer packaging, really pretty, simple cardboard packaging. And then inside there is a mirror, and here are the different shades, and they're all multi-chromes and will probably be similar to their stained glass collection, and they're all brand new shades from what I can see here. So I'll go over the shifts as I swatch them with you. So now I'm going to start swatching and just go across this way, and I'll go over the shifts and everything. So they're just numbered, so it's LS number 1, LS number 2, and LS number 3. And this is what they look like on the finger. Really pretty shades, just really stunning. And so LS number 1 says it is a multi-dimensional iridescent shadow with a red, orange, yellow shift with like silver aqua sparkles. Then there is LS2, which let me build that up a little bit more. You can really see the blue in that one, and it says it's a sparkling yellow shade with an intense blue shift. Oh, okay. It says it's sibling shades to our popular dual chrome called Myrrh. And then there is LS3, which this one, let me build that up a little bit more, is described as a hot orange, peach yellow, shimmering metallic multi-chrome. I don't know if the shifts are picking up at all. I'm trying to catch it on that. Let me go here and see if in the mirror it shows. Do you guys see that? There we go. There's the shift for the top 3 row. Wow, I can really see it in the mirror here. Now we'll get into the second row. So we have LS4, LS5, and LS6. They feel so creamy, and there's that on the fingertip. And then I will swatch them up here. So we're swatching LS4. So it says for this one, It is a violet, pink, peach, yellow shifting holographic shadow. Ooh, they have holographic shades now. I know it's kind of bright in here to see, but I'll put it up in the mirror in just a bit. Then we have the LS5 shade. And this one is described as a muted green base and fine shimmers that shift from blue, violet, pink, and yellow. And then the last one, which is LS6, looks like a pinky one. This one is described as a plum pink multichrome that shifts from bright yellow, gold, lime, and aqua. And then here is it with the mirror to show you guys the shift. Yeah, it's so crazy how good a mirror can really capture shifty shades. Just really wanted you guys to see that. And then we have the very last row. So LS7, LS8, and LS9. Ooh, this is a beautiful row. Look at those shadows. And so we'll go with LS7. Ooh, look at how green that is. And this one is described as a bright green, aqua, purple shifting multichrome. Then there's LS8. Ooh, it's a very goldeny one. And this one is described as a saturated leaf green base, orange, yellow, lime shifting shimmer. And it says this shade is the Sibylline shade to the mural shade that they have in the stained glass collection. And then the final one, LS9. And this one is described as a pink, peach, yellow, lime shifty multichrome with a denim blue base. So here are the shifts on this one. I hope it's picking up. I can see the green, especially on that last one, and the blue. And then up top, they're all super pretty. I love all the different shifts that they have. So that is all the different shades. Let me swatch them all together. I feel like it's cool to see all of the shades next to one another. So here are all the multi-chromes swatched out together. They're so pretty. They have like different colors to all of them. And I'll show you guys with a bigger old mirror, like all the shifts together, so you guys can really see it. Isn't that so pretty? I love multi-chromes. And I love that there's like a lot of like lighter options of multi-chromes. Alright loves, welcome back to my face. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video and all the swatches and comparisons. A lot of you seem to be really enjoying this type of content, since it's kind of helping you decide on whether you have like something too similar to these kind of products in your collection, or if it's something that you just can't pass on, or just something fun and enjoyable to watch. Because who doesn't love seeing beautiful shadows being swatched? I do, at least. I love to see all the beautiful sparkly things. But you guys would now have to let me know, what are your thoughts in the comments below? Have you purchased any of these products that I mentioned today? Was the video helpful? Or could you share some thoughts if you tried Klarity Cosmetics or MBA Cosmetics? I would love to hear from all of y'all. And if you're new here and you enjoy this video, you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, you like a lot on indie makeup and all that good stuff, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I would love to have you here. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will have all the products linked so you can check them out for yourself. I will also have my codes there. I do have one with Beaute Bar. It's Apres-Ski Beauty, as well as Gourmande Girl, since these are the palettes that I have on my eyes. They're all Apres-Ski Beauty, but I always have my codes there and everything linked. I also have my makeup linked and all of that, and other videos of mine that you might be interested in watching, like the one where I put this look together or where I put my complexion together. I will also have my contact and my social media platforms linked. I'm also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_beauty. So if you want to join my Instagram fam, I would really, really love that. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, for being here, supporting my channel, being amazing. I just appreciate you guys all so much. And I hope all of you are doing well wherever you are in the world, and just sending you guys so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.